Hey there, welcome to What Dogs Really Want, the podcast where some opinionated, sometimes spicy canine behavior and enrichment experts explore what dogs really need to thrive in the modern world. We're your hosts. There's Maren,
Hello.
Alana,
Hi.
see, we're spicy, and me, I'm Stephanie, and we're here to look at canine behavior and enrichment, considering things from a dog's perspective and discussing how we can all adjust our behavior to ensure our dogs live their happiest and healthiest lives.
So just before we start, I just wanted to bring something up that happened in my world. If any of you know, I currently live in Glasgow, Scotland, and this past Sunday there was a really gnarly fire just above Glasgow Central Station that destroyed a bunch of small businesses. Like this entire building burned to the ground, and it housed a bunch of small businesses such as hairstylists, tattoo artists, nail stylists, and everyone who had a shop there lost everything. So there's a lot of GoFundMe's going around. So I just thought I would put a link to all the GoFundMe's for those businesses in our caption. So if you have the means, if you have the desire to just donate to some of the local artists in my area, um, yeah, it was a really horrible fire. If you look up Glasgow Central fire, you'll see because it was terrifying and yeah, it really sucked because all those people lost literally everything. So anything we can do to help them out, just thought I would throw that out there. Um, On to a more exciting note, I wanted to mention again that we have C Spot Think, which is our video enrichment series out. It is available. We made our first lesson completely free for the month of March, so you can try it out. Learn some fun games to do with your dogs. Basically, we tried to make it so you could recreate What Dogs Want Academy by yourself, DIY at home. We have video tutorials, we have some PDF downloadable instructions, and we also created a feedback survey. So if you would be so kind, it's completely free for March. So if you would be so kind to go check them out and fill out the survey to give us some feedback, because we are planning on making this a paid subscription. So we really want to know what you want to pay for, what would be helpful, what would be cool. Yeah, so you can find that by going to our website, wdwacademy.dog, and it will direct you straight there. So yeah, just go check that out. See Spot Think. And today,
Yay!
finally,
Do fun things with your dogs.
yeah, do fun things with your dog. See Spot Think. And yeah, moving on to the podcast today, not so fun. We are going to be talking about we're going to be talking about fear and anxiety. Yeah, we're going to be talking about fear and anxiety, kind of piggybacking off of last week, talking about emotions that dogs feel and experience. We're talking about some negative emotions today, what can cause fear and anxiety, kind of some medical looking at it, some practical looking at it, how to work with dogs who have fear and anxiety and what that entails. Um, it's a huge topic, so we're just going to try to cover as much as we can in this little podcast. So I'm going to stop talking now. And Elena can start off because she has a bunch of stuff about kind of the medical side of fear and anxiety because she used to work at a veterinary office.
I sure did. Oh boy, yeah. I'm not going to go into like everything in the medical side because we'd be here forever. But I did find a good source that talks about how stress and anxiety can impact pets. And we'll link it in the show notes, obviously, but it's from Veterinary Information Network. They have a definition of fear and anxiety. Um, they classify fear as related to the specific behaviors that come along with escape and avoidance. And they describe anxiety as the result of threats that are perceived to be uncontrollable or unavoidable. And that's from the animal's perspective. So, kind of, sorry, excuse me, battling a cold. Um, so, piggybacking off of last week, what Maren was talking about with her kind of deep dive into the brain functions and how dogs, feel emotions and that sort of thing. Um, she was talking about the cerebral cortex, which is what processes those emotions. We also talked about the limbic system last time. Stefanie had some good insights about that and how that regulates emotions and memories and behaviors that are key for survival. Um, in this particular article, it goes more into depth about parts of the brain that pertain to fear and anxiety. So we found that the key components involved are the prefrontal cortex, and that's where decision making takes place. Um, the amygdala, which triggers fight or flight, or fawn. I don't know if that's still a thing anymore, but I've heard that where
Is
it's
that
like
like the
Mm-hmm.
fight,
same as
flight, or
freeze?
fawn. It's
Mm-hmm.
like when you like. I think I know fawning is like when you're like not like flirting with someone, but like you're kind of like trying to
Hmm.
appease someone.
Yeah, like
You know what I mean?
appeasement. Yeah. Okay.
Hmm. It didn't say that in this article, but I always just include it because I feel like I feel like it makes sense. Um, the hypothalamus, which maintains our homeostasis. So if that's out of whack, obviously the whole thing's going to be out of whack. Um, Maren also touched on neurotransmitters last week. She was saying a lot of the ones that we have, dogs also have. So some of the key ones that are involved with fear and anxiety are serotonin, which regulates mood, sleep, appetite, and digestion. Noradrenaline, which increases alertness, focus, and your blood pressure. And dopamine, which plays a role in the reward system and motivation, as well as GABA, which helps to calm the brain. Um, so that's just kind of like a background on more of like the sciency brain part of it. Um, but I did want to touch on some of the physical symptoms that you can see when a dog is experiencing chronic stress and anxiety. That's really similar to humans. There's a lot of like weakened immune systems causing gastrointestinal diseases, um, dermatologic conditions, respiratory and cardiac conditions, and behavioral disorders. Um, I don't want to like keep droning on and on and on, so feel free to jump in. But these are just some of the things that are the most common and that are shown with humans as well.
Yeah.
Um,
No, one thing I always think of, and it made me think of it when you were talking, is, and along with these feelings and emotions, we don't get to determine what scares our dog or what is fearful or creates
Mhm.
anxiety for our dog. A lot of people, if their dog has a fear response, it's like, well, I don't know why he's afraid of that. He shouldn't be afraid of that. Like, well, you have your fears and your anxieties about things, and you wouldn't want someone to tell you, why would you be afraid of spiders? That's just silly. So our dog's feelings are 100% legit, and
Mhm.
all these things are triggered because they have a fear of a beach towel. I mean, whatever it is, we all have things that we don't like or create stress. So I just want to throw that out there that um, not that any of our listeners would say that their dogs shouldn't feel like that, but you hear that quite often. So I just want to say that they're valid and you just have to treat them as such
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah,
because these things are real.
Yeah.
even if it seems silly to you, like think about a lot of phobias that people have that are kind of silly and like you don't understand them personally because you don't share that same phobia, but you would never disrespect somebody who's genuinely afraid of something or like dismiss their feelings or say that their feelings aren't valid. And
Right.
dogs can't communicate what's making them anxious or what they're afraid of, and you can't communicate with them and say that's silly, you shouldn't be afraid of that. So you have to I don't know, just keep that in mind that
Yeah.
yeah, like Elena said, like it's all based on the animal's perspective, what is perceived to be
Mm-hmm.
uncontrollable from the animal's perspective, not from your
Mm-hmm.
perspective, not from what you think is valid or scary. It's from your animal's perspective.
Yeah, and what I wanted to like let people know is, yeah, they can't, like you said, they can't communicate with us obviously, but a lot of the stress signals that they show are, on the medical side, similar to humans. So
Mm-hmm.
if you can be in tune with that, and you know how your dog normally acts, it can affect their appetite just like humans. If your dog starts to, not eat as much, or
Mm-hmm.
um, they're eating more, or they're experiencing pica or pica, I think it's pica how you
Yeah.
pronounce that.
I think it's pica,
Um,
yeah.
and they're eating um, sources that are not food. And we had, I won't say names, but we had a dog at our school who we thought might have had that, and he seemed really anxious. Um, there's things that you can notable changes that you can see, um, in their behavior if they're being too clingy, or not too clingy, but just like a little bit more like, hey, in your
Yeah.
face, if they're not wanting to be touched at all. Um, I think fear and anxiety is tricky because it can cause health problems, but then health problems can also cause fear and anxiety. So it's hard to determine what came first, but I feel like if you know what to look for, then you're, off to a good start.
Yeah.
Another reason to, if you have a dog, to study up on your body language because you can tell so much from the way they carry themselves, even the way their ears are, their whole carriage can just collapse if they're not feeling good. They can hold their stomach weird if they're having a stomach ache. So many reasons. I think every single podcast we've had, it goes back to if you understand your dog's body language, you can tell when something's wrong before it escalates to an even bigger problem.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think it's important, obviously, like if you do see changes in your dogs, it could be anxiety and fear, but I think it is important to always take them to a vet to rule out anything scary or anything more serious or something that requires some sort of medical intervention. Because even if it looks like it could just be an anxious behavior, you never know unless you get it checked
Hmm.
out. I feel like they always say that, like I'm taking Michael Shikashio's aggression in dogs course right now, and he always says one of the first things to do is get them checked by a vet, because if a dog is in pain or if they have some sort of medical issue, that could cause so many negative behaviors because just the way they're feeling. So I think it's always important to consult a vet if you do notice
Hmm.
any changes, and before just making the decision that it is fear or it is anxiety. There's a lot of steps that you need to go through to ensure that your dog's taken care of properly.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, for sure. And don't like automatically skip to medication. I know
Hmm.
that's like probably a touchy subject, but it can help. But I feel like what doctors, I'm hoping, are, requesting people do is try to figure out if it is an anxiety issue, figure out what the triggers could be, change their environment before um, experimenting with medication. Because
Hmm.
as an anxious girly myself, experimenting with medication is not fun.
It's not always the best way to do
it's,
it.
it's not. It's not fun. And you go through a lot of different emotions and a lot of feelings.
And a lot of
And
those medications that treat like anxiety and stuff like that are hardcore medications that you don't want to
oh,
just
yeah.
be willy-nilly with and putting yourself or your dog on long term without trying other options or looking into different methods. And I'm not saying that vets are just throwing medications around willy-nilly, but you just have that in your mind. Like you
Yeah.
shouldn't go in there just looking to put your dog on medication without seeing if that is the best option for them. Because sometimes it is the best option, I'm sure, but not always.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
consult a behaviorist, a trainer, and work in tandem with your vet. I mean, it's really
Hmm.
important to have a village to raise your child,
Hmm.
so you can all be on the same page and compare notes and figure out what are the motivations behind this behavior, what changes in the environment. I mean, there's a whole host of questions we don't even get into, so you can determine, is it something we can work on as a behavior team, or will meds potentially help? And maybe a combination, but
Hmm.
definitely consult the professionals. This is not something to try to tackle yourself if you see extremes. Um,
Don't
if
give
you
your dog some
approach,
of your anxiety medication.
Yeah.
yeah, probably
Yeah.
not a good idea.
I mean, they they a lot of times use human stuff, but yeah, don't do that. You don't
A
know what
little
you're
for you,
doing.
a little for me.
Lexapro for
I
you, Lexapro for me.
know. Yeah, just like have your tea, like
Yeah.
tea in your Lexapro. I know. But you should want to know the cause of any unusual, distressing behavior anyway, because it can be a number of things. And if you misread or misinterpret and you approach behavior training or training, and it's not correct, it can make things even worse if it's fear anxiety. And
Yeah.
a lot of reactivity is based on anxiety and fears. It's not what I would call aggression
Mhm.
to where, oh my gosh, we just have to stop this right now. It's like, look at the triggers. We can get into this a little more in a minute, but just again, just really drive home the importance of understanding what's going on with your dog. Don't assume. Um, Talk to professionals. I'm working with a case right now where there's a dog who's going through a not extreme fear because she's very happy in her world, but it's out in the world. She's really struggling and she was not socialized well and led a long life without having a lot of access to novelty or new experiences. And everyone in the circle is just sure this is a bad dog and she needs to be punished and that needs to stop. She shouldn't be doing that. And then when I first met her, I was like, wow, she's just really afraid because she doesn't know what the world is. It's too overwhelming. So it's not even like classic fear, like when you see, I don't know, a tarantula and you're scared. She's completely overwhelmed and doesn't know how to self-regulate or deal
Like
with
a
anything.
like agoraphobic almost.
Almost. It's almost like that. And I've worked with dogs who have fear of other dogs or people, and but this is just really interesting. And the dog's been kind of led down the wrong path, thinking that punishment will get her to stop doing these things, when actually it's making it a lot worse because now
What?
when she reacts, yeah.
No way.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not a big advocate for punishment anyway, but in these cases, now, while I'm trying to help her, she's expecting a punishment. And so we're having to backtrack and like, no, it's okay. You're allowed to feel like that. You're not bad. You're having your feelings
Well, that's like when
and
we
moving on.
got
So,
that's like when we got Clover. And not
yeah.
saying her parents didn't want to, but I know that they had said that a lot of their friends were saying, "Oh, you need to put her into a boot camp because she was so fearful." Um, and
Yeah.
in my mind, I correlate boot camp with punishment because that's kind of the boot camps we know, that's kind of their method of training. So when we met Clover and we saw, oh my God, she's so afraid. And she, rightfully so, because we've discussed her before, but she went through so many changes in such a short period of her life. She was born on the reservation, taken away from her mom, spayed, taken away from her brother, adopted into this family she didn't know, all within the span of like 2, 3 months or something. Of course she's going to be afraid. She's a baby. Of course she's going to be anxious. So then when you look at that and your immediate thought is whip her into shape, put her in boot camp, punish it out of her, I just don't see where that thinking comes from, because in what world would that help a dog be less afraid when you're hurting them for being afraid?
They
Yeah.
saw it, not the family that had her. They
Yeah,
were
I'm not speaking
amazing.
about her parents, but just in
I
general,
know.
with her as an example, just in general, what
Well, that's what I was going. They're all their friends were saying, if you don't nip this in the bud right now, she's going to become a very aggressive dog. And that's what prompted them to call me. And thank God, because it's like, no. I mean, yes, I guess it could create an aggressive dog if you're punishing her for all of her
Mm-hmm.
communication and feelings. Then she's going to not ever feel like anyone's advocating for her or understand her. But that's not that's not how we approached it. It was let her have space and
Let her feel
unfurl
safe.
and feel
Yeah.
safe, and then everything. She still, gets a little woo sometimes and a little nervous, but she's
She knows she's safe,
nowhere.
so she's able to get over it a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Get
Oh my
over it,
gosh.
quote unquote. Move past
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So really, I don't know. We got to back off that thinking that all these dogs are going to become aggressive and I'll do all this crazy stuff. It's like dogs really don't want to be aggressive. It's usually their last hope.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, of course, there's exceptions, but as far as for fear and anxiety, reactivity, they're trying to communicate. Barking is communicating, growling is communicating, lunging, it's just distance creating. And that's what you see a lot. It's like they want something to just go away. And if you look scary, it usually works because you, as the walker of the dog, is like, let's get out of here. Let's just stop it. So then you've
Yeah.
done it. You've created that space. Everything's fine. Or the other dog is scared and walks away. And again, that technique worked. So you've
Yeah.
got to really look at the underlying stuff there. It's really important because if you punish fear and anxiety, you're opening up a whole nother can of worms. And some of it can maybe potentially not even be fixed. I hate the word fixed with a dog, but you can
Yeah.
make life pretty terrible for them by the wrong approach to fear and anxiety.
It's
Yeah.
a
Well,
mental health disorder. Like, you can't
yeah.
just, like,
Yeah, it's like giving a
beat up
lobotomy.
someone.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And again, like I feel like we've said this so many times before, but dogs don't speak. They don't speak. Dogs don't speak English. Dogs don't communicate in English. So barking and growling and all these signals that they give off are literally the only thing that they have to communicate with us. So yeah, a growl might sound really scary and a bark might sound and look really scary, but what do you expect them to do? They can't say, "Leave me alone, I'm having a bad day." All they can do is growl. All they can do is bark. That's literally all they have. So it just putting it in perspective, like what do you expect them to do instead of that? Start speaking
Yeah.
English and tell you how they feel? They can't.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, they didn't get a manual when they were born. How humans are going to expect you to be. It's just
Yeah.
silly. It's just silly. And all that noise, all the growling and lunging and snarling and that stuff, that's all like ritualized aggression. They
Mm-hmm.
do those things to avoid conflict because dogs that are healthy don't want to get into fights. It's like us too. It's probably for most animals. It's like you want to avoid conflict because the risks to you are huge. So if
Mm-hmm.
you sound scary and look threatening, you're using that to try to get that other scary thing to go away. There are other
Mm-hmm.
techniques too, like we were talking earlier about fight, flight, or freeze. Those are all other things too. But the point is just don't punish those things until you really learn about what's going on. Hire a professional because a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people out there think they're dog behavior professionals. And I've had people try to tell me what I should be doing when working with the dog. And it's like, I'm not telling you how to plant that row of flowers and how often they need to be watered, even though I have a garden myself. It's like, and I get it. We've lived with dogs. We think we know a lot. But when it gets to these more complex things, you really need to talk to somebody who's worked and studied and understands the gamut that these feelings
Yeah, and I
can
won't.
run.
We could go into a whole other podcast about how to find the right professional, but again, find the right professional because a lot of professionals um maybe don't use the best methods or maybe don't have the best knowledge or training. So that's really tricky too, and that's a completely different podcast and how to find an
Yeah.
ethical trainer and somebody who's appropriate to work with the issue that you're having. But just, something to keep in mind.
Yeah,
Don't go to your
for
first
sure.
Joe Schmo that advertises dog training on the side of the road. because
Or what pops up first in your feed because the way they
yeah,
buy
the sponsored
space.
ad that shows up on Google, whoever pays
Yeah,
the
make
most
sure
to
you
get their name out there.
yeah, we won't
It's
name names, but
We won't name
but really
names,
ask a
but
lot of questions and see how they respond to how when you're describing your dog. And they should be asking you, like, when did those behaviors happen? And when did this happen? And what does your dog do right before? And what does your dog do afterward? And what have you tried? You want to have a full history. You want
Mhm.
them to take a full history. What are their past experiences like? What kind of a dog is it? These people who are like, oh, I can guarantee to fix any dog behavior in 2 weeks. Like that's just
Lie. That's a lie.
it's a lie. It's crazy. At best, you're probably repressing that behavior through fear yourself, and that's not a real solution.
Mhm.
When you stuff things, it always blows up in your face. And if not your face, your neighbor's face, the kid's face, or the trainer's face. So really look for somebody who asks a lot of good questions to get a full picture of your dog, their whole history, as much as you know, what everything looks like, what you've tried, who they are as a dog. It's going to matter, their age and their skills they already have acquired, how social they are. I mean, it's so complex.
If
So look for somebody who really wants to deep dive with you on any problem or any kind of training that you want. Now that we're going down this rabbit hole, I feel like I have to because I've been taking some training classes lately. And if it's just a, oh, I can guarantee this is going to go away, we can stop this, that then run, then
any
run.
trainer who guarantees that they can solve any problem that you have is a red flag. Just gonna throw that out
Honestly,
there.
yeah.
If it seems too good
Please,
to be true, it is.
please, there needs to be a good discussion about management and how you can help support your dog, not just make everything stop. That's just not even fair. That is like a lobotomy. It makes me think of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's like, you don't want to mess up your dog's head like that. That's just not fair or
No.
ethical and
Yeah, you're messing
takes
up
away
a
You're
all the
just
fun
head.
of having a dog.
You're messing up a brain that you don't understand in the slightest.
Yeah.
So then what?
Yeah.
Because then you're gonna have a messed up brain that you even now more don't understand and is having all these
yeah.
other behaviors
Yeah.
and ugh,
And
it's a
you've taken
tough.
away all their methods of communication. So there's no hope for them either. So we weren't going to go into training, but
Anyway.
I know because for some of these issues, you definitely do want to consult a trainer. There's a
I
lot that they can do to work with fear.
Yeah, I feel like fear and anxiety are one of those things where you really don't want to deal with the wrong sort of trainer and put your dog in a bad situation because it can make the issues so much worse and turn it into aggression and turn it into something dangerous if you don't
Yeah.
go about it the right way.
I feel like you should just look for someone who understands anxiety. Like I feel like so many people who like those trainers who are like, I can guarantee you this. I feel like those are like the deniers of like mental health. Like I'm
Yeah.
not trying to be shitty, but like
Probably.
I feel like
Probably.
they've never felt it. They don't think it's real. Like they're like
They're the ones
depression.
who are
You're
just
just
like,
sad.
calm down. What are you getting so worked up for?
Just try to relax.
Yeah, just take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Like no, you gotta find someone who knows
Yeah.
who has been in the depths themselves. No.
That's a good point. That who really does have a full grasp of what that is. It's not just a
Yeah.
behavior that needs to be stopped. It's like
Yeah.
No.
it doesn't work like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically
Yeah.
find someone with empathy.
Hey,
Question mark?
Crazy
and we'll put a
idea.
link. Go to the Family Dog Mediation website because we're all listed in there by state, country, region, specialty. I can. There are other very good trainers out there, but I can
Mhm.
guarantee you that everybody that's in that directory
Is
is
empathetic
going
and
to come at
ethical.
your yeah, they're going to consider your dog's legs, so learning environment, genetics, and self, and all of that is important. And they will create a game plan to go forward that is ethical and kind and effective. It does take more time to work like that, but it's actually working. It's not repressing and changing. And as
I
a owner of several fearful dogs, I will say that having a dog who's fearful or anxious, it does require you to change your lifestyle. And if you're not okay with that, That's fine. And that's why I
Hmm.
encouraged Clover's family to consider rehoming. And they were the most lovely people. They really were. But they knew they didn't have the time, the experience, and they didn't want to mess her up. And so that's when they decided this probably isn't a good fit for our family. And it was a good call. And they still checked on her and they still love her and they cried when they gave her up. But it was a really smart call. So I am prepared to change everything to have a dog like that living with me. I think it's cool. I like the challenge. I like to be able to help them, but that's something to expect too. If you've got a fearful, anxious, reactive dog, it's not just going to be fixed like that. And you probably aren't going to have the TikTok life with your dog or the Instagram life where you get to go out to clubs with all your dogs and friends and have a foam party or go to the cafe. And, like life might just look a little bit different. So be prepared for that.
Yeah.
Um, and
Well, that
decide if you can do that or not.
Well, that reminds me of a piece of advice that I actually was going to bring up later, but I was watching or listening to Michael Shikashio's podcast, The Biting End of the Dog, and it was an episode with Cecilia Erebor. I hope I was pronouncing her last name right, but she had some really good advice on working with anxious dogs. And it was, if you yourself are having an off day, if you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed, or you're just in a bad mental place personally, and she was talking about this in terms of training a dog with anxiety or working with a dog with anxiety. But she was saying, if you're just having that sort of day yourself, it's not the right day to try and work with your
Mm,
dog and try and help them get over their anxiety. Because if you aren't capable of handling your own mental state and taking control of that situation and feeling confident, then you're not going to do any good for your dog. It's just going to be bad for everyone. And I think we can relate that to, like, just in general, having a dog with fear and anxiety, if you yourself aren't capable of taking on that load, or you are feeling anxious about it or not confident about it, or it's not something that you're willing to put 100% effort in, that's fine. Then don't, because you're going to end up doing more harm than good if you're not in that place to be able to take on that load. So I just thought that
that's
was
interesting.
good advice when working with an anxious dog. But I mean, you can relate it to just having an anxious dog or any sort of dog. Like, if you're not in a place to handle
Yeah.
that, then don't try, because try again tomorrow, try again next week when you're feeling better. Because if you're trying to work with your dog and you're up to here already, you're not going to be in the best place to try and help your dog work through what you're trying to help them work through.
That is good advice.
So,
Yeah, that's interesting. And there's a really wide berth of fear and anxiety too. Like
mhm.
it's not all going to be, oh my God, my dog can't even leave the house, or my dog wants to kill everybody walking down the street because they're so afraid.
Yeah.
But just, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you just have a dog that's a little nervous when the vacuum comes out, that's different than
Oh, of
my
course.
dog's
Of course.
fear
Yeah.
is. We worked really hard. Hijinks, who I talk about all the time. She's an absolutely lovely dog, but she doesn't like anybody within 6 feet of her that she's not familiar with. It takes her a long time to become familiar with people. She's a really great communicator and will let people know, please don't come into my space.
Hmm.
We do muzzle her when we have to take her to the vet or places where we have to be close to people. She's done a good job, but it does make her feel really weird. That's pretty extreme. Um, our other dogs are just kind of like, oh, that was silly. Oh, the curtain blew up with the wind. That was silly. So it's a wide thing. So a
Yeah.
lot of it, yeah, you can deal with on a day-to-day basis, and it doesn't hinder your lifestyle, but
Mhm.
just kind of just throwing it out there that
Well, and that's the thing too. Even with like small cases, even if your dog just is scared of the wind blowing leaves around, or your dog is scared of seeing other dogs out on walks, if you're having a shitty mental health day and you're just feeling overwhelmed, that's probably not a good day to take your dog out on a big walk where you're going to encounter all their
yeah.
triggers. Because if you're up to
Yeah.
here, you're going to get frustrated easier with your dog. You might speak to them in some sort of way, or you might just be like, oh, not today. And
Yeah.
that's not going to be any good. So just any situation with any sort of anxiety, if you're not capable of handling that day, just don't. Like, it's fine. Just take the day off. Try again later when you're feeling better.
Exactly. No Bones Day. Do you guys remember the pug Bones? It was like
Oh yeah, it's a no bones day.
it's a no bones day. Just don't do
You're allowed to have a no bones day.
it. You cash
Everyone
in your
needs a
no
no
bones
bones day
day.
every once in a while.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah, so just I feel like I always find a way to like relate it to like how would you feel? But kind of relating to humans. Think
That's
about
important though.
yeah, think about when you're feeling anxious yourself. I know that when I'm anxious or when I'm feeling a bit stressed out about something, I typically get a lot more snappy and a bit more reactive and just kind of not pleasant to be around. Even if there's no reason for me to be feeling anxious, if I just woke up on the wrong side of the bed, or if I'm anxious about something that doesn't make any sense to anybody else and it seems like such a simple problem, if I feel some sort of way about it, I'm going to be more reactive about just in general. So and that's
Hmm.
something that when you're in that headspace, if someone were to come up to you and be like, just snap out of it, just calm down, would that work? Like think about how difficult it is for you to just take a step back, see it from an outside perspective and snap out of it when you're in that headspace. And it's the same with your dog, except when you're telling them it's fine, calm down, snap out of it. They don't it's not computing in their brain because again, they don't speak English. So it's just it's just one of those things. I don't know. Just think about it from your perspective. And if you've never experienced fear or anxiety in your life and you have no idea what I'm talking about, then
You're a
congratulations.
liar.
You're a dirty liar.
Congratulations to you.
I know. Or you're just really lucky and have a beautiful environment, but
You just have
Yeah.
really good genetics.
Yeah.
I feel like
yeah.
overstimulation too. Like overstimulation can get you there. Like that's what does
Oh
it for
yeah.
me. Like if it's too hot,
Yeah.
if it's too cold, if Sky's talking too loud, if like it's just like the littlest things can just like set me off. If it's just like, one after the other, and then all of a sudden you're like, ah, like same with dogs.
Yeah, well, it's like trigger
Yeah.
stacking, which I was going to talk
Mm,
about
Yeah.
next,
yes.
because there's a whole thing when looking at anxiety with dogs. There's two kind of what is the word? There's two little pools of anxiety that your dog might fit into. There's generalized anxiety, and then there's situational anxiety, which I mean, same as people, but is your dog just an anxious dog? They're fearful, just general anxiety, or do they have certain triggers that make them anxious? Do they have triggers that set them off? Is it the vacuum? Is it the dog across the street? Is it people coming to the house? And then so learning your dog's triggers if that is the case, and then also kind of similar to what could be considered as being overstimulated is trigger stacking, which I think is a term we use a lot. um I know Stefanie always talks about trigger stacking, so I don't know if you kind of want to go more in depth than that. You probably have more knowledge on the topic than I do off the top of my head.
Yeah, well, trigger stacking is just sort of what we've been describing. It's when something, how I like to explain it to people when they're my brand new clients. Like, okay, so you wake up in the morning and you go to put on your pajama pants and there's a hole in them. It's like, ah, okay, whatever. So then you go on to your next pair of pajama pants. Then you go to make your cup of coffee and you realize you're out of coffee. Like, oh my God. So now you've got your ripped pajamas and you don't have any coffee. And then you turn around and then you step in dog poop because your dog, like it's these little things, one on at a time, whatever, I'll deal with it and just move on with my day. But you have these little things that just add and add and add to your cup, and your cup is full. And then when that final thing, like you go to get in your car and drive to work and you have a flat tire, you're just going to lose it. And that's when you step out of the car, you're like, God damn it, blah, 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 blah. And the flat tire is not a big deal, but it's because all your triggers are stacked that you just lose it. And dogs do the same thing a lot because I think the world is just stacking triggers at them all the time. And a lot of them are really resilient and have learned how to deal with it, but a lot of them are not.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be whether the age or their experience or breeds, there's a whole bunch of different reasons that dogs would be more sensitive. But we see that all the time.
So thinking about what trigger stacking would look like in a dog, I think it's just a good general idea that maybe a lot of people can relate to is think about on 4th of July, a big holiday for a lot of dogs. Maybe you're having a neighborhood block party. So there's a bunch of people at your house, a bunch of kids running around. So there's strangers in the house. Now all of a sudden there's kids. There's imagine you have a border collie, strangers in the house, kids running around, kids screaming. The dog is probably confined to certain areas of the house, not allowed to go where it wants to go, not allowed to have all the freedom it usually has, not getting as much attention from mom and dad as it normally does. Now, all of a sudden, there's fireworks, terrifying, world's ending. It's just this and this and this. Like, these are so many stressors that could just stack on top of each other. And then by the end of the night, you find your dog in your closet completely shut down in the corner. And it might seem crazy to you and you might be like, "Oh, what's going on? It's okay." But you don't think about all these little things that keep adding up and adding up and adding up, and then next thing you know, their cup is full, their cup is overflowing, and they just shut down because they basically overstimulated, trigger stacking. Um and I feel like a lot of people could probably relate to that scenario because 4th of July sucks for dogs.
Yeah.
So a
And
lot of
just in
people
general.
probably, yeah,
Sorry.
just in
Yeah.
general. Sorry.
It can go another way too. That made me think of your 4th of July example. So that border collies had to deal with this and then this and then this and then this. And if a kid tries to come up and has a little pinwheel or something and the border collie snaps, then it's like, oh my God, he's always been so good with kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, but he's
Yeah.
pushed. He's pushed past his limits. Another reason to know your dog's body language. It's like you can see that happening, and that's when you know to like, uh-oh, time to take a break,
Yeah. And
decompress, leave him alone.
I was reading something about that is kind of relates, but instead of trigger stacking, which is kind of more to do with like situational anxiety, but with generalized anxiety, with a dog who has generalized anxiety, you have to think about they're kind of already operating at 30% capacity. Their cup is already 30% full because they're working just constantly anxious. And so I think a lot of times, like how you're saying, oh, the border collie snaps at the kid and everyone freaks out. A lot of times, dogs who have general anxiety, I feel like can have kind of explosive or sudden reactions that seem kind of out of the blue.
Mm.
But people don't realize it's because they're already constantly working at this lower threshold for any sort of trigger that then comes their way. So even a small thing like somebody knocking on the door might seem like, oh, whatever, people knock on the door all the time. But a dog who is experiencing anxiety might just completely explode out of the blue because they're already up to here just living life. And it can manifest in kind of these explosive reactions that people describe their dog as having.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
They're already like trying so hard just to maintain like a balance that
Mm-hmm.
when something happens that's small, it's easily thrown off.
Yeah, like it seems like it comes out of nowhere, but in reality, they're already right here. And then that just got them to right here.
Hmm.
Yeah. And again, watch the body language. So, saying that, what does anxious body language look like, kids? Um,
Well, I think I think if you really think about it, like it's pretty. I know a lot of people don't understand body language, but I feel like it is kind of obvious if you just take a second. Like a dog looking away, is their tail tucked or is their tail maybe straight up, like at high alert? Um,
mhm.
like Elena was saying earlier, if they seem clingier than normal, like if I know a lot of times if I'm out with Obi and he starts feeling a bit anxious, he'll be jumping up on me. He'll want me to pick him up, just like nonstop more than usual, panting when they haven't exercised. And we kind of already went through this when we were talking about body language in one of our past episodes, and I think it's similar to what we were saying then. But like a tight face, like if you can see all the
Yeah.
line, if all the lines on their face, like if their mouth is pulled back and they just have like a not a soft face. um
Dilated pupils is a big one.
mhm, mhm.
Hmm. Tense
Um,
muscles, hypervigilance.
I was just gonna say hypervigilance. Yeah. And
Yeah,
people miss that
constantly
one
like
too.
patrolling, constantly looking around, checking their environment.
Yeah, I feel like that's one I have to point out all the time, which is fine that you don't understand, but it's just like just watch your dogs. Just sit back and watch your dogs. Another dog I'm working with right now, that's his thing. His trigger is what he sees out the window. But if you just watch him, he goes out to the window and instead of just looking, he's like
Yeah, looking for
Mm.
And then he
something
circles
to,
around the room and then he's back in the window and he's just looking. And I said, "Do you see that? Like he is just so focused on what's going on out there. Let's just not even let him go near that window because that's a huge trigger."
yeah.
So yeah, it's the hypervigilance is really kind of interesting.
Well, Jinx does that. I feel like Jinx does that at the back fence in the yard. Sometimes she'll get so hyper vigilant and she'll just be pacing back and forth and she'll be barking and she'll be just patrolling. We say it's her patrolling. And I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of
Yeah.
times we'll just have to be like, okay, that's enough. Like, let's just go inside. Let's just take a break. Like, you don't need to be doing all that right now. You're stressing yourself out. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's easy enough to just remove her from that environment and get her mind on something else, and then she calms down right then.
Yeah.
And I think they're thankful on some level, because it's got to feel better. We're working with the dog out the window. It's like once he's away from it, it's like, whew, doesn't that feel good? And then we do a fun game or activity. And then when he looks out the window and he's calm, it's like, that's a good boy. That's a good
Yeah.
boy. And he'll get that. It's like, oh yeah, when I'm not, stalking the neighbors, this feels better. So yeah, it's no punishment needed, reassurance.
Hmm.
Um, Redirection, gentle, understanding,
Yeah.
acknowledging. With Jinx, I'm like, all right, thank you. Thank you. You did a good job clearing the feral cats out of the yard. You did a good job getting the garbage man to go out of the alley. Whatever. Just they have that acknowledgement. Move on.
Yeah.
It's like when I'm
Um,
reminded to unclench my jaw. Like
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
like
is that your
in like a
thing?
yoga practice. Yes. In
Yeah.
like a yoga practice, they're like, unclench your jaw. And I'm like, oh yeah.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah,
Thank you
that's
for
me
that.
as well. I always catch myself clenching my jaw when I'm anxious, and then the next day I'll wake
Hmm.
up with a horrible migraine because I've just been clenching my jaw all day.
Yes.
Interesting. So yeah, so we have those behaviors too, and your dog has them.
Hmm.
Um, What else is another one that like drooling? Some
Drooling,
people think
Hmm.
that's because
vocalizing.
they're hungry or they smell food, but it's all about context, like those long strands of drool. That's anxiety.
Mm.
Um, what
Yeah.
else is some other stuff like the flat ears, back?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
feel like again, like you just have to know your dog and your dog's
Yeah.
baseline. Like, what does your dog look like when they're relaxed? What does your dog look like when they're happy? And if they look off or different from that, then that's a signal to you that they're experiencing some sort of negative emotion, whether it's fear, anxiety, whatever it is. But I think it's just important to, even if you don't learn all the body language about dogs in the world, if you just learn your dog and
Yeah.
their body language and what they look at when they're resting, then you can kind of be a lot more educated about what might be going on with them.
I just, in one of my training classes, they did this really interesting exercise. If you don't know a lot about body language, then have a journal. And when your dog is doing something they really enjoy, write down what their body looks like in your own words. It doesn't have
Yeah.
to be, oh, their flag is at a 90-degree angle. It's like, oh, their tail is soft and it's wagging to the left or whatever it looks
Yeah,
like.
their
And their
ears are
eyes are relaxed.
perky. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I
then when
think
you
that's
see
smart.
them, it was a really good idea. I've never heard of that or thought of that before. And then if your dog's barking at the front door, what does that look like? And write that down and try to capture as many behaviors and activities as you can, and then start to compare, and you'll understand like what that means when your dog looks like that, or when that's happening, or if you have a reactive dog, what do they do when you're on a walk? And I thought that was a really cool idea
I
too.
think that's really
Um,
smart. Yeah.
Hmm.
yeah, then you'll really see the differences.
Yeah, you can kind of have your own body language chart for your dog. Like, you know how they make those dog body language charts? It's like, what does a dog look like when they're relaxed? What does a dog look like when they're scared? You could just DIY it for your own personal dog because that's really all
Yeah.
that matters. I mean, that's not all that matters because you interact with other dogs in the wild, but that's the most important thing is understanding your dog and their body language
Yeah,
so you can assist them in the best way you can.
yeah, yeah.
Or
Keep
for
them
Um,
from
fun, you could
getting
look at
there.
other dogs. You just make a
yeah.
chart for everybody.
Yeah. All the dogs in
I
my
know.
neighborhood.
That's like your new job. You just become like a dog charter. You're like,
Yeah. Like a
Your
map
new
that
special
actually would be kind of
intern.
but
cool.
just for dogs, yeah.
Kind of like that. Just follow them around for a couple weeks. Like just in the background. Just like,
Yeah.
don't mind me.
Did
You just
you know
watch your
that
You're
your
just
little
dog?
charting
Ted
your
Lasso
dog.
show. Watching your dog.
I've been watching you.
Here's my retirement plan.
um, yeah. Just a, I don't know.
Sorry.
I had just another kind of example of a way to kind of look at anxiety and what your dog may be feeling. But I think for people, at least like a big trigger of anxiety and fearfulness, I guess, is lack of control. Like I know me, like OCD, very type A in some ways. Like if something isn't
Mhm.
going according to the way I wanted it to, like if we were meant to leave the house at 8:45 and it's now 9 o'clock and we still haven't left the house, I'm gonna get anxious, I'm gonna get snappy, I'm gonna get reactive. And that's something that I understand what's going on. I can communicate how I'm feeling. We can be like, oh, we'll leave the house in 5 minutes. It's okay. We'll just be 10 minutes late. Call whoever I'm going to and say I'm going to be 10 minutes late. But so you think about that and how that causes so much anxiety for humans a lot of the time. And then you look at dogs and you look at how little control dogs have over their life and their
Yeah.
autonomy and their routines and everything that they're doing, basically their entire life, we control. We control when they go outside. We control when they eat. We control when they're allowed to bark, when they're not allowed to bark. We control when they go out into the world, when they're on a leash, when they're not on a leash. Like they really don't have control over anything. So it makes a lot of sense why a lot of dogs are probably feeling some sort of anxiety because
Hmm.
think about how you feel when you don't have control. Unless you're just one of those people who just loves letting having everything taken care
Chaos.
of
Just those
for
people.
them,
Yeah.
just catered to them,
Yeah.
go
Doing
on an
nothing.
all-inclusive resort and just have everything catered to you. Some people are like that. I'm sure some dogs don't mind as well, but I think it's normal for stuff like that to cause you anxiety. So think about dogs. Think about they don't control really anything. So of course they're going to feel some sort of way about that and that might manifest in anxieties.
And they can have OCD too. It's not called OCD, but it's called CCD, which is canine compulsive disorder. So,
Hmm.
Mm,
even just outside of that, they can still have OCD tendencies,
yeah.
um, and thoughts.
Yeah.
I don't know how their thought process is, but
I don't know.
OCD thoughts are
Fall.
not a fun
Fall.
time.
I know. I'd be
Fall.
curious. I know. Yeah, I'd be curious to see like exactly a dog who has CCD, like what their brain looks like.
Me too. Yeah. Like, what are they thinking?
A mess. It probably looks like a mess.
It probably does look like a mess.
OCD ain't pretty.
It sure ain't.
But about just talking about that and how it is so natural for dogs to experience anxiety because of the conditions that they're living in this modern world, something that can be done, I think, and something is important to work on with your dog in order to help them through that is building up resilience. I think we talk about resilience all the time working with dogs, and a lot of the games we do, enrichment wise, help build resilience, help build confidence and problem solving and creative thinking. And I think all of that goes into the resilience a dog has. Um, but as defined by the National Library of Medicine,
Ooh.
resilience is a reduced vulnerability to unfavorable experiences. So being less affected by your triggers, basically. So I think what are things that we can do to reduce a dog's reaction to their triggers, and that's how you build their resilience. Um,
Yeah. It's basically shit happens. It's
yeah,
like shit happens. It's okay. I think
yeah,
that's it's funny because I started doing this with my dog and it's so funny to hear you guys do this now all the time. It's like that's so silly. It's so silly. You kind of label the scary things or the unexpected and just normalize it. Like, oh, that was silly. And it really works. I mean, there's always going to be that novel thing that you're not ready for, but it's really effective because if you just approach it like, "Oh, that was silly," they just kind of like, "Oh," and reward that shake off when they do
yeah,
shake off, and you can actually teach them that a shake off feels good, and then they will
hmm,
start doing it if you can catch it and say, "Oh, good shake," or whatever you want to say.
That is
Yeah.
so
Works
funny
for
because
toddlers too. Oh, sorry.
sorry, I don't know if you just heard Obi explode really quickly before I muted myself, but
Uh-uh.
he heard Callum move in the other room and I think he forgot he was here, so he did a little explosion, ran out, and then saw it was just Callum, came back in here, shook off, and now he's just sitting next to me again.
Touche,
Oh,
Gobi.
Waking
That
up.
was silly.
It was so silly.
That's
I
so silly.
forgot.
It's just Callum. I know. But that kind of stuff, like helping them work through it verbally. We like to do stuff like we have a thing we call the flutter curtain, and we also
Mhm.
have a fumble mat where we just have weird objects hanging down from it's like a garden trellis, and the dogs can walk through it. We never force them. Sometimes you can entice, we'll throw some treats or whatever. The brave will be willing to go in there. But it just exposes them to weird stuff that sounds funny and looks funny and maybe feels funny if they brush against it, and they're fine. It's like, oh, that's
Mhm.
so good. Good job. Good job. And if they just walk through a little bit or put in one foot, it's all good. It's
Mhm.
it's just everything has to be really good and positive and happy when you're working with a fearful or anxious dog. So I love the flutter curtain. We used to change it out like all the time.
Yeah.
And we just have kept it how it is because we have pool noodles hanging from it right now and beads, and that seems to be a big favorite for everybody. But it's a really cool, fun way just to always expose your dog to novelty, which builds the resilience because
Mhm.
we all see novel stuff all the time.
Mhm.
Another thing we've always done as a school is around every holiday, we put out holiday decorations and weird stuff. And we start off by just having it on the ground and we don't make a big game out of it. It's just there. And for a week or two, the dogs can kind of wander over and explore if they want to. No forcing. We don't train them to do it. It's all about their choice. And some of them, well, I would say that at some point they all will go over there out of curiosity, and then you just reward that. It can be like,
Yeah.
oh, good job. You can sometimes use treats, a little higher value, reward their bravery and their curiosity, but that's also a good way to build resilience. Just let them see novelty
Yeah.
and explore it on their own, at their own pace, no force.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite. That's one of the big things because Obi will sometimes on walks get startled if he sees something that's unfamiliar. Even sometimes if it's just a big rock that is kind of a weird shape, he'll do a little explosion about it, react at it because he's like, "What is that?" Like that. Honey is
I
just
can hear
honey,
it.
honey.
I didn't even hear him.
I know.
Good
He's
microphone,
having a
I
moment.
guess. But yeah, he tends to react at novel things out on our walk, and one of our favorite things is just, oh, let's go see. Let's go see.
Oh,
He's gonna go see what he's barking at right now because he hears me talking.
Oh.
But that's what I'm just like, oh, let's just go touch it. Let's just go see. So we'll go
Yeah.
up to the rock. He can kind of explore it. I don't make him touch it, but we go up and he can look at it. He can sniff it. He can touch it if he wants. And then I'd say 100% of the time he realizes that, oh, it's fine. And then he's fine and we move on. But he knows that, oh, if mom's telling me to go touch it or if she's telling me to go see it, it must be safe just because I've never given him a reason to doubt that. I've never made him touch something scary. So
Yeah.
it's just a really easy way to get him over some of that. Like, oh, let's just go look at it. Let's just go explore it. It's fine. Like,
I was gonna say it works with toddlers too. If you're listening and you have a toddler, and it works really well. Like, oh, that's silly. Like,
hmm
I don't know. I don't want to, because same with like Halloween decorations and stuff. Jude was around when we would bring those out, and we were just like, oh, that's silly, or go touch, and he saw the dogs doing it, and he would go up, and there was like a scary clown, and he wasn't really affected by it. So yeah, side note, if you're if you're a parent, try it because it works with them too.
I feel like it kind of reminds me of like how they always say if you have a kid and your kid like falls down and starts crying, like they clearly didn't like hurt themselves badly, but like it
Hmm.
scared them and they're upset. You're not meant like you shouldn't be like, "Oh my God, what happened?" You should just be
Hmm.
like, "Oh my God, that was so silly. Are you okay? Like let's get back up." Like it's kind of like that same principle, I feel
Yeah.
like
Yep.
if something
Whoops.
happens to your dog and it clearly scared them, but like they're fine
Yeah.
and you know they're fine, just be like, oh, that's silly. Just brush it
Yep.
off. Like it's fine. Like you don't want to give them that. You don't want to feed into their fear. You just want to make them
Hmm.
realize, like, oh, it's fine. Like, forget about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what it
Yeah.
is. You don't want to like hype it up too much.
Yeah, that's what I always think
Yeah.
of.
No, that's true. But on that note, that reminded me of something I wanted to mention. For a while, it was going around that if you coddled your dog, if they were afraid of thunderstorms or fireworks, that it would actually reinforce that behavior and make it worse. I just want to say that's completely not true because something like that, where it is terrifying your dog,
Yeah.
they need to feel safe.
Yeah.
Um, we all do. You don't want to be in the haunted house just absolutely pooping your pants because it's so scary and be alone. You want
Mm-hmm.
someone there with you
You want
who can
someone
either
holding
grab
your hand
onto
and guiding you through.
your Hisley and it's going to be okay and it's fine. And then afterwards, it's like, oh, that was so funny. But it's okay to soothe your dog if they are afraid of something. It's
Yeah.
not going to make it worse. It just shows them that they can trust you and they'll help you. Because sometimes you can't just, oh, it was silly. Thunderwork or thunderstorms in our house is not a silly moment. We try.
Yeah,
But
it's
when they get really
terrifying.
boomy and there's a lot of wind involved, it's just flat out terrifying. So we just all sit on the couch and listen to nice, calm, Snoopy jazz and just sit together and it's fine. And if somebody wants to go hide in the closet, that's also fine. But it's
John.
it's not gonna John's in the closet, him and Clover. Oh
It's
my
fine.
God. I know. It's so silly. I know. So I just wanted to put that in there because I still hear that every once in a while. A parent will say, "Oh, I heard that if I hold my dog when there's a thunderstorm or fireworks or whatever it is that's really scary, a truck goes by, it'll just make it worse." It's like, no, you're
Really?
actually showing them that yeah, yeah.
That's
For a while,
crazy.
that was like the big trendy training thing, like a couple years ago, which I'm like, oh my God, that's so awful.
That's great. No, because there's a
That I
level, there's a different levels of like scary things. Like there's the wind blowing the curtain, and then there's the world is exploding around us, and I don't know what's happening. Like there's different levels. Like I don't
Or like
know.
you said with Obi, a rock that just looks weird.
Yeah.
Like you can, that is a silly thing. And we do a lot of targeting at school too, because it's a good activity, but it also is a good way to build resilience because we'll do that with vacuum cleaners or if you go around the corner and see something. Halloween, we had this neighbor who had like this 60-foot tall skeleton and we didn't know it was there. And then they had a giant spider too. So we went
60
walking
foot
one
tall
day.
skeleton, I don't
It was
think.
crazy. It was crazy big. And this giant spider that took up the entire yard. And Clover just like came around the corner, was like, ah. We're like, oh, Clover, just go touch, go touch. It took her a few minutes, but she touched the skeleton, then she touched the spider, and then we were fine. And then she had to touch it when we walked back home, but then she was fine because nothing happened. It didn't launch at her. We didn't go
Yeah.
up behind her and go, ah, like just let them touch and realize. So targeting is a really good
Yeah.
resilience builder too.
Yeah. And I feel like there's a difference between things that your dog is scared of that you can feasibly show them that it's not going to hurt them, like a skeleton that doesn't move or a rock versus fireworks
Hmm.
or thunder. You can't
Hmm.
you can't really show your dog in any way that that's harmless because there's nothing that your dog can really get up close and observe. Like it is scary and it is constantly coming down and like it
Yeah.
you can't have your dog, oh, go touch the thunder. Like you
Yeah.
just can't do that. So it makes sense that they'd be more fearful of that. Um,
And that comforting would be the most like common tool to use.
mm-hmm.
That's like when
You would,
people say
yeah.
like don't give your kids too much love, otherwise they'll be too spoiled, or like don't hold them too much, otherwise they'll be spoiled. And it's like,
What?
what do you
Oh, that's
mean?
sad.
I've heard that so many times. I'm like, no, you're wrong.
Well, if,
That's why I have the problems I have because
No.
what?
no,
To deep dive into drama right now.
no. That's another podcast.
Next time we'll
Exploring
all
my
deep dive
legs.
into our childhood.
I
Next time
know.
we're just gonna have a therapy session.
I
It's been a
know.
rough few weeks.
Mm.
But going back to how we were saying targeting is a really good thing. I think enrichment is in general is a really good thing for building resilience. And I know this is a bit of a not controversial, but it's a bit of a discussed topic too, as I know we get a lot of people coming up to us who have just gotten a puppy, and they'll say, "Oh, my puppy's too young. I'm not meant to do any training with them. I'm not meant to do any enrichment with them until they're so and so months old or until they're a year old." That's not true. There are studies
The
that show
lie. It's another
there,
lie.
yeah, we're here to tell you right now. There are studies that show enriched early environments for puppies as young as 3 to 5 weeks old, even if the enrichment is just watching a TV show, having some screen time, like enrichment and introducing them to different environmental factors is extremely beneficial in their development and extremely beneficial in building their resilience. I don't
Yes.
I I don't know why there's that misbelief that enrichment is bad for puppies, because what do you mean? How would enrichment be bad for puppies? Like, I don't really understand where that comes from. But it's not true. So I think if you do get a puppy, doing some enrichment games with them and helping them
Mhm.
build their confidence and build their problem solving skills and their creative thinking is a really good idea to just give them the tools to succeed when they do encounter things that might be scary, because then they're going to have the confidence and the problem solving capabilities to check it out and get over it.
Mhm. Mhm.
The article I was reading was talking about that too. They were saying like if dogs are introduced to like small stressors when they're young,
Mm-hmm.
they're it helps build their problem solving skills so that when they're older they can be more resilient and figure out how to problem solve through, things that are scary. So that makes
Yep.
sense.
Yeah, I saw a
No,
study as
remember,
well.
oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
I saw a study as well that was saying brief separation, and like take when if puppies are with their mother, if you separate them from their mother and handle them just for a brief moment of time, it actually really does a good job at increasing their emotional stability and reducing their stress in the long term, because they're getting used to brief controlled stress and anxiety by being taken away from their mother and handled, but then they go back and they're fine. But it actually does a good job at building up their stability and their resilience.
Shout out to Almost Their Rescue, and there's probably more around the world, but we know them. They have such a good enrichment program for their puppies, and that's
Mm-hmm,
part of it. They
mm-hmm.
do a lot of handling, cute tips on their feet, touching their ears, and then back with mom. And they have an enrichment chart in the back where they're exposed
Mm-hmm.
to walking on sand and walking on slippery surfaces and bumpy things. And they are amazing. And they start their
Yeah.
puppies off right away, and when we get their clients as clients, some dogs that have been adopted from Almost There, we're always like, yeah, because
Mm-hmm.
they've been exposed to
And they're
stuff.
always really cute as well.
And they are always really cute.
They always
But
have the
it
cute dogs.
helps. Yeah.
Huge
And,
plus.
a whole host of other things goes into your dog's personality and life. But those dogs got off to a good start and you can tell. You really
Yeah.
can tell.
Yeah.
So we had one client who they were a previous client and then they got a new puppy and they didn't bring her in until she was almost a year. And she said that a trainer told me that she was too young to be in an enrichment program. So that's why we did training first. And they said the brain wasn't developed right to do enrichment. And that is like a lie. I mean, that's just so weird. I'm like, what trainer told you that? Because they clearly don't know how a brain works or how it develops in a dog, because you can only benefit from enrichment. We used to do the love puppies, young
Mm-hmm.
ones, and have them do games and walk on stuff, and it's all a good experience.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, enrichment all the way.
Yeah. It always goes back to enrichment, and it always goes
It
back to
all
body language.
it does. And social currency.
Yeah.
Those are your three things you should always remember.
Mm-hmm.
We should
Um,
make an acronym.
enrichment, body language,
Enrichment,
social
language.
EBS.
EBS.
Remember your EBS.
Remember
Remember
your
your
EBS.
abs.
Should we move on to living or working with a fearful or an anxious dog and tools that can be used to help them?
Oh gosh. Yeah, we talked about some of the games that we do at school, and anything and everything we do, you can replicate at home. And if
With
you
C
hear
Spot
this, then
Think.
you see, spot, think. Yeah. So our See Spot Think video enrichment series is all easy to implement, fun, cool games and activities you can do at home with your dog, and you can do all of them. I can't think of one that we have come up with that a puppy can't do.
Hmm.
So no matter what age, puppies, seniors, a lot of them are good for fearful dogs. Your approach might be a little bit different, but we address that in our
Hmm.
video, and
Hmm.
we'll always take questions. Um, Basically, I mean, this is really dumbing it down, but when you're working with an anxious or fearful dog, um, you just slow it all down. Just slow it
Hmm.
all down, go at their pace, let them choose. No force, no pressure, and sometimes that means you'll have a towel game and it'll take a month before the dog wants to really investigate what's inside that towel, even if it's like a high value treat. And there are ways that you can make the game a little easier so you can get him to get used to the fabric or actually
Hmm.
doing things for himself, which we won't go into that right now. But what else? I mean, we've got confidence boxes. We've taken like an empty cardboard box that's really shallow and just put a couple of strange objects, and strange could even be like a plastic ball or a ring. A good place to go is Goodwill and go to the baby toy section.
Yeah.
It makes noise a little bit. It's going to be safe for them to put in their mouth. Just put a few things in a box or even on the floor and just sprinkle in a few treats and then just step back and be patient and let them wander over and explore and move the objects around. If they take the treats, cool. If they don't, doesn't even matter. It's just about kind of encouraging them and making really good, cool things happen when they are willing to explore. Never,
Yeah.
never force.
I feel like
Never feel like you're bribing them. They don't want to feel bribed. Like, uh, hey, if you go over the agility ladder or if you touch that object, then I'll give you a treat. If anything, you throw the treat toward it, and if they choose to go get it, cool. If not, cool. It's all got to be up to them. Um,
Yeah, I feel like a big thing we're always saying is like there's no end goal when you're doing enrichment with a dog. Like it doesn't matter if you're doing a towel game and your dog is never able to completely unroll the towel and get the treat out of it, as long as they're feeling safe and comfortable and they're doing the activity at the level that they can
yeah,
continue to feel safe and comfortable with, that's a success. And when
yeah,
it stops being fun for the dog, then that's fine. Like there's not you're not working towards reaching this gold medal at the
mm-mm,
end. You're not getting a prize for the most complicated game your dog can do. It's just based on your dog and what makes them feel enriched and safe.
It's the journey, not the destination.
Yes. Yes.
100%, 100% with what we do. Oh
Hmm.
my gosh, and enjoy it, and just relax and make sure they're having a good time. And they can fail. That's part
Hmm.
of building resilience. Like we don't help them figure out the game. You can give hints, but you've got to let them solve it because sometimes they're going to fail, and that's okay.
Hmm.
Like, let's just try it again or let's just do it later. No big deal. It's
Here,
kind of like you want to be taught,
let's just go
you,
back a step and keep trying from a lower level. That's fine.
yeah, conflict resolution. That's one of the skills that they learn coming to our school. It's like, that's important. We all goof up or make a mistake or make a wrong choice. It's like, no worries, just go try it again. But you've just got to have that right frame of mind where you're just a guidance counselor almost. You're not there to teach them. It's encouragement and guidance,
Yeah.
parenting, good parenting. So there's this incredible dog trainer. Her name is Zazie Todd. I believe she's British. She is a specialist in reactive, fearful, anxious dogs. She's incredible. Highly recommend her if you are just curious about learning more, or if you have a reactive, anxious, fearful or dog. A fearful dog. She wrote a book called Bark: The Science of Helping Your Anxious, Fearful, or Reactive Dog. It's available now, Amazon, everywhere. But she said something, I'll let you guys all read the book because you should.
Hmm.
But she said something that really stuck with me. I thought it was cool. She said, fear memories never really go away. So you can have a bad experience. You're never going to make that go away for your dog. And think about it like something that terrified you as a child, you still can think of it and channel up that fear, or at least remember being really scared.
Rainforest
So it's
Cafe.
real. I know you still talk about it. Yeah,
Never
see?
forget.
See? So what you want to do is you want to pile great, positive, happy memories on top of the traumatic experiences. Like my example is Jinx has never liked going to the vet. I think we can all say most of our dogs don't enjoy going to the vet. Fun things don't really happen there, even if it's the nicest vet and the coolest place in the world. But Jinx, when she was young, was already scared. We got there for vaccinations, and somebody had the door open, and she ran out the door. And it was on a very busy intersection. Didn't have a leash on because they took it off her for the exam. So she's out there in a street. There's traffic everywhere. And she wouldn't come to me because she was scared. I ran out in traffic and then she freaked out and ran across the street. Thank God there was a bush because it gave her something to smell for just a second. And I was able to run up behind her and grab her. Okay, so she was done with the vets after that experience. We did some home vets. That worked out great. Had to take her to a vet the other day for something that the home vets couldn't do. She did okay. But of course, as soon as they wanted to take her temperature and give her vaccination, that was also really negative for her. So I was telling Elaine about that, and she suggested a vet that she knows who is fear free and force free trained. They've worked with a lot of reactive, fearful, anxious dogs. And so she said, I know she's already had some experiences. I'm like, oh my God, but Zazie Todd said you can always do a new first experience. So she's had some bad experiences with former vets, but going to this new vet is going to be a new first experience with this vet. So we're going to go in there. The vet's already going to approach it differently, be more respectful of Jinx's feelings and her anxieties. And I'm also going to advocate better. Like I do need to be in the room with her. So we're going to go in much better equipped to set Jinx up for success. And it's not that she's going to walk out of there like, woohoo, now I love the vet. But we're going to take these former traumatic episodes she's had and put a whole new one. Like, but vets can be like this. This is a
Mhm.
new vet, and this is going to be a new experience. And if she has another positive vet visit, it'll help. So we can
Yeah.
start reducing some of the trauma that she's had. So I thought that was really cool, just calling it a new first. And you can always provide a new first for your dog. If they had a bad
Yeah.
experience at a dog park, go to a different dog park or don't go to a dog park, but
Yeah.
create a new first experience. It
Yeah.
works. I thought that
Yeah.
was brilliant.
I think that's interesting because a lot of people just kind of ruminate on that, like, oh, they had
Hmm.
a really bad interaction at the vet, or they had a really bad interaction with a German Shepherd, and now they're terrified of German Shepherds. Like, okay, but that doesn't have to be the end all be all of it. You can
Mhm.
always try again
Mhm.
if you do it in the right
Yeah,
way, like you were saying.
right. There's a whole technique. Read the book. I don't want to go into it, but I just really liked that outlook on it. Like you need to keep helping your dog. It may not Jinx is never going to like to go to the vet because she has a loss of control and
Hmm.
she doesn't like people in her space anyway. But we can make it the best possible experience it can be to
Yeah.
where we don't all have our blood pressure shoot up and we're all shaking when it's time to go to the vet because it's just one of those things that has to happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, there will probably be a part two on this because we've been talking for a while. There's a lot to talk about with fear and anxiety. We didn't even get to some of the ways that you can help an anxious or fearful dog that you live with, that you work with. Some of the things that you can do, some of the play styles you can use. There's a whole thing that we can go into about that. So check out part two for that. Um, and I don't know when that. Sorry,
Bear with
I'm trying
us.
to give you a. I'm trying to give you a date. I don't know why.
It'll be
I don't know.
sometime
Just
next week. It'll be a bit
Soon.
later because Maren's going to Italy.
she's going to Italy. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Um, Thanks for hanging out with us on this one and bearing with all of our thoughts and opinions on anxiety. If you're still here at this point, you're definitely a real one. In the meantime, you can find us at wdwacademy.dog. You can find, oh, and check out C Spot Think on there. Do
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Do it.
Please, we beg.
Please. S'il vous plaît. Um, you can also find us on Instagram at What Dogs Want, and always feel free to DM us with a topic you would like us to talk about. Again, hit that follow button if you want. I think we got 2 more
We got 3 more. We're at
subscribers.
22 followers.
Ooh, we
What?
got 3
Let's get
more.
3 more and get to 25.
Come on, people.
Woohoo! What's funnier than 24 or 25? So yeah, drop a like, go ahead and follow and be safe out there and stay kind and curious and do fun stuff with your dog.
Yay.
Yes.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Damn.
Bye.
See you later, suckers.